I'm Jay Taylor. I'm the editor of a newsletter called Jay Taylor's Gold, Energy, and Tech Stocks, and I'm here with Dr. Quinton Hennigh, backstage of the Metals Investor Forum, the May 20 Metals Investor Forum. Dr. Hennigh is an advisor to White Rock Minerals. It's an Australian-based company. It doesn't trade in Canada. It does trade in Australia under the symbol WRM, and it does trade in the United States under the symbol WRMCF, which I have used to purchase shares for my own account. It is a recommendation in my newsletter. I think it's a very exciting story, so I'm really pleased to have Dr. Hennigh with us again to talk about this one. Ordinary shares, 89.5 million at about 45 cents, I believe, in U.S. money. That would give it a market cap of around $40 million in U.S. funds. So it's they have a project called the Red Mountain Project in Alaska. It's a zinc, I think a silver zinc rich deposit. I think something like 9 million tons already that have been outlined there, but lots of upside exploration potential. And then more recently, a project called the Last Chance, which is also part of the Red Mountain Project as far as I understand it. It's a gold target. So Quinton, tell us about this. This is really, I think, from what I heard you say during the conference, this is really an exciting story, one with lots of upside potential. So take it away.
All right. Yeah. Look, White Rock, even though they're ASX listed, they are exploring in Alaska. They have a very good crew out of Fairbanks to operate. The project, Red Mountain, is actually not that far from Fairbanks. It's due south of Fairbanks. And then it's due east of the town of Healy, so it's right off the highway. It's not too far off the highway from Fairbanks down to Anchorage. So it's not remote Alaska like a lot of companies face. This is pretty reasonable in terms of infrastructure and costs. Look, the target though is exceptional. This Red Mountain project is a VMS system. They have a very large land holding that covers basically a basin, a relic basin that's about 300 and some odd million years old. It's a Devonian age, what we call Devonian. And this VMS system is exceptionally high grade in zinc and silver. It has about 5-ounce silver. It actually has a gram per ton gold as well, which is interesting. So it's got a significant precious metal component, but then exceptional grades of zinc, and then also some lead. So you have, say, 8 to 10% combined zinc lead with this very high precious metal content, which makes it very exciting. And the analogy I use to describe this is actually the Greens Creek deposit, which is also in Alaska. It's a little different age, but Hecla has been mining Greens Creek for decades now. It's been a very, very lucrative, very productive mine that's helped, as a foundation within Hecla. It's one of the best operating mines inside of Hecla and has been for many years. So, I see this deposit, this system they have as being a replicate of Greens Creek. They have 2 targets that they partially drilled off. One's called Dry Creek and one is called West Tundra Flats. These 2 lenses, we'll call them a VMS that they've drilled off, collectively have about 9 million tons of resource. But they're only partially drilled off. If you look at both systems, they're wide open for expansion. The geophysical data, like the EM data, suggests these things do extend down into the ground. And one of the main objectives this year of the 3 rigs that they have planned, in operation this season, one of them is going to be testing the natural extensions of these deposits. So at Dry Creek, for example, they're going to drill a series of holes about 250 meters vertically below the existing resource. That should quickly show everyone that this system will grow in size. Interestingly, the grades of both zinc and silver are increasing at depth,
Yeah.
which, so I wouldn't be surprised if these holes return some phenomenal results, maybe meters or tens of meters, a few tens of meters of very high grade zinc and silver. Anyway, so that's one focus, is to expand the known. But they have many other targets across this little sub-basin. This basin goes on for about 30 kilometers east-west, and they have little EM targets that have never been drilled, but they have samples at surface that show, yes, there's VMS there. They have at least 8 targets that they're going to test this year, maybe maybe they'll get to some more as well. So, in terms of its size potential, I can easily see this whole belt hosting tens of millions of tons of this type of mineralization. Now, you mentioned the gold target. Okay, this is what actually first attracted me to White Rock last year. The geologist who oversees exploration at White Rock is named Ron Warland, and like myself, he was at Newmont for a period, and we know how to do some basic work around stream sediment sampling that can generate some very definitive answers about what potential there might be. And one of these programs that he did late 2019 turned up amazingly a very strong gold anomaly right next to the VMS area. Okay, so they quickly expanded their land block around this gold target. It is what we call a Tintina type gold system. It's basically a gold system that's related to both metamorphic and igneous processes related to collisional tectonics along the western margin of North America. Basically, it's a belt of deposits that comes out of the Yukon and into Alaska, and it's quite prolific. I mean, it's turned up a number of world-class deposits like Pogo and Fort Knox and so. So anyway, this gold anomaly, we raised money quickly last year. We drilled 8 shallow holes. We didn't get any deep tests in, unfortunately, but we found extensive low-level gold throughout a very broad area. Again, the Bleg anomalies here are just off the chart, and the soils that we did early in the season turned up phenomenal results as well. But we left this thing hanging. I mean, basically, the winter came early last year. We had to shut the program down, I think September 10th or thereabouts. It was an early shutdown, and we did not get to test this thing fully. So this year we do have one rig. So there's 2 rigs going on the VMS, and then 1 rig is going to go on the gold system. But we're going to test the deeper structural targets underneath these very, very robust anomalies. And we're going to see if we can't find that high-level orogenic system, that epizonal orogenic environment. I think this is a fantastic story because you really have 2 exceptional exploration plays within one company, and they can be operated basically out of the same camp. They're right next to each other. So you have 2 phenomenal kicks at the can, so to speak.
Yeah. I'm wondering just quickly, what sort of threshold do you think in terms of tonnage with those kind of grades? And by the way, I don't know if you mentioned it, but I think 13.2% zinc equivalent, over 9 million tons, something like that. What do you think with the threshold would be? Double that, triple that, where people with major companies might start getting it?
As soon as they hit, or they can, you can see, say, 20 million tons. That's the kind of tonnage you need to kind of underpin an economic case in the area. But I don't think it's going to be that small, Jay, by any stretch. I think, given the number of targets, like I said earlier, I think the outcome will be many tens of millions of tons.
Interesting. All right. So the company also has some interesting things going on in Australia. Maybe you spend a minute or two to talk about that.
Yeah, sure. Look, one of the things about Alaska is it's seasonal, okay? And they looked around, and I put my nose in and helped a bit, but they looked around at opportunity. And one of the opportunities they identified was to acquire Ozstar, which has a very attractive land position in the Victorian goldfields. It's a very high-grade deposit there called Morningstar that was mined. It mined, I think, around 800 and some odd thousand ounces at something like 20 odd gram. I think it was 26 grams per ton. It's a very high-grade deposit. Western Mining got their start at Morningstar, interestingly. Okay, so it's a famous mine in that respect. And look, by acquiring this company in this land position, they now have high-grade targets that they can pursue year-round, which is a really good outcome. They also have, the Mount Carrington deposit, which is now a joint venture with Thompson River Resource, I believe they're called. And again, they have exposure on that one. They're free carry, basically, for the time being, and it removes that distraction, we'll say, from White Rock's main focus, which is exploration.
Yeah. Well, certainly. How's the funding situation with them, Quinton?
They just closed a raise. It was $9 million raise. I think collectively they have now about $18.5 million in the bank. Plenty of money to pursue the exploration and then also after acquisition, pursue exploration at the Ozstar projects.
Yeah. So that's White Rock Minerals, trades in Australia at WRM, under also in the United States under WRMCF. Minuscule market cap, I would say, compared to what seems like could be possible, and we're going to find out a lot more in the months to come. When might we see some drill results? That's always the question. Towards the end of the summer.
Look, the mineralization is quite visual, so my suspicion is once we start drilling some holes and we can talk about what we're seeing, there will be some announcement around that. But obviously, assay turnaround is all up to the labs. If the labs have prepared a little better for this season than they have for last, we might see better turnaround. But people will have to be patient. I can just about guarantee it's going to be an exercise in patience.
Right, and I think you've also opined positively about the management team. You're pretty impressed with the management team, and you were an advisor to them. So
yeah, very much. Look, I've known Matt now for a year. Very, very astute managing director, but I've also known the chairman, Peter Lester. I used to work with him at Newcrest, and then Rowan Warland, the fellow I mentioned a minute ago, geologist in charge. I worked with him at Newmont. So,
very good. Excellent. All right, Quinton, thank you so much for taking the time to let people know about this great story. It's one I'm really excited about. Can't wait, as I said the other day, I'm 74. I'm supposed to retire, but I'm having too much fun right now. This is the bull market of a lifetime, I think, for precious metals. If I quit now, I'm going to quit before I enjoy this run, I think. Thank you so much, Quinton.
Thank you.
Great story. Thank you.